Yesterday, the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion commemorated the International Peace Day. The day is an opportunity to recognize and amplify the voices of those working tirelessly to overcome barriers and foster harmony among diverse groups, aiming to promote peace, unity, social cohesion, and reconciliation within our communities and beyond. On the theme, Act Now for Peaceful World. And so the theme emphasizes the urgent need for both individuals and collective actions to foster global peace and understanding in a world facing increasing conflict and instability. However, the International Peace Day celebration underscores Sierra Leone's ongoing commitment to peace building, while also acknowledging the work that remains to be done and to ensure a future of justice and harmony for all Sierra Leoneans. So this morning, to talk more on the progress so far and how the Peace Commission has gone with regards the implementation of the tripartite agreement, among other things, we have in the studios Salia Parker, who is Director of Conflict Prevention at the Peace Commission. Good morning, Salia.
Good morning, Samuel.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sierra Leone.
And also Melvin Mansare, who is a journalist. Melvin, good morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I think I need to seize this opportunity to wish you a very happy birthday, Melvin.
I'm so honored. Thanks for wishing me happy birthday, and
Happy birthday.
it's always good.
I'm dealing to seem well packed, has a number of issues. But Salia, this is not the first time the Commission is commemorating World Peace Day or International Peace Day. What is special about this year's event?
All right. Well, I would say it's a different year and therefore different phases. Last year I was Communications Deputy Director. This year I am Preventions Director. So, but answering your question, this year the level of energy that the Commission saw from partners was awesome, was immense. So it speaks to the point that people are not seeing the work of peace promotion, the work of conflict prevention only as a mandate to the Commission. They feel it's a collective responsibility. The outburst on Saturday for the peace walk clearly manifested the fact that market women, bike riders, keke riders, all and sundry feel that they have a responsibility to promote national cohesion. They feel they have a responsibility to promote peace. So for us, that's one result that we can score and say, look, we have a future, we have a brighter future. We feel that our burden is lessened by the fact that everybody is coming on board to promote peace. Everybody is coming on board to start talking about the need to have a peaceful Sierra Leone. So for us, that's something that we apart from the fact that we celebrated the event and we are still celebrating, that's one thing that we can score as a success.
The theme speaks, the theme for this year speaks volume as it hinges on the collective responsibility of all to ensure a peaceful nation. But again, Parker, when you talk peace, the first thing that comes to mind is the Truth and Reconciliation, the TRC report, which squarely hinges on peace. How far have we gone as a nation in addressing most of the endemic issues that are captured in the TRC report?
The fact that in the wisdom of the president, our president, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, to start implementing aspects of the TRC recommendation is something we can go home with. So that core by itself speaks to the fact that we as a country have begun to look into recommendations of the TRC. So forming the ICPNC by itself answers that question, and we feel it's not enough. We have been engaging stakeholders from different angles, from the political class, from the ruling government, to opposition, to CSOs. We have been having conversations with all and sundry, in a bid to facilitate dialogues towards the national unity agreement, towards the tripartite agreement. So it's a step-by-step process. But what I will say is that Sierra Leoneans have gotten the consciousness. Sierra Leoneans now have the feeling that nobody will just sit in their corners and incite them to indulge in violence. Sierra Leoneans now feel the national urge. The Sierra Leoneans now more think national. They think more nationalistic now than individual. Sierra Leoneans have gradually begun to feel that politics should not divide us. Sierra Leoneans have begun to feel that Sierra Leone is a common denominator that we all should be able to support. And Sierra Leoneans feel that without peace, they all talked about development will not hold if we do not come together, if we do not have peace, if we do not maintain peace. Our businesses will not thrive, our markets will not work, our schools will not hold, the health systems will not hold. So peace is the bedrock of whatever we call a developed Sierra Leone, whatever we call a growing Sierra Leone. The bedrock of it is peace.
Before Fabian coming, Sierra Leone sits as the 5th most peaceful nation in Africa and 2nd in West Africa. Statistics that looks that seem very much impressive, but the realities on the ground shows the contrary. Are we really a peaceful nation?
I would say we are a peaceful nation. There are a lot of indicators beyond what normally thrives on the ground. There are a lot of indicators that the Global Peace Index researchers look into. Areas on human rights, areas of observance of gender equity and equality, areas bordering around the rule of law, maintenance of the rule of law. I wouldn't say we are a totally peaceful country, because we have, like you said, we all know that things happen, skirmishes happen here and there. But I think we are trying. We are a resilient country. I feel that the urge, for us as a nation to denounce anything that divides us is becoming stronger. So yes, to answer your question, we are a peaceful country. As much, if you compare some of the things that happen in our neighboring African countries, call it like go to Nigeria, go to Cameroon, it's nothing compared to how to what happens in Sierra Leone. Of course, there are a few instances where people give fake news that trigger incitement, that trigger some aspects of community unrest. But that is not to say that Sierra Leone could not be seen, could not be ranked as we have been. I think we have done well, and we think we still need to do more. But we have done well as a nation, and we should be proud of ourselves that we are trying. We are doing. We are making efforts to seeing the country look the way it is. To seeing the country look as peaceful as it is.
I'll take this over to Melvin. So, generally, you'll find that when we have conversations like this, many would tell you the absence of war is not fully an indication of peace in its entirety. When you look at the indicators of what comes together to constitute a peaceful nation, it says low crime and homicide rates, minimal political terror and instability, harmonious relations with other countries, low levels of military engagement, and a stable society with few refugees or displaced people. Now, taking into consideration some of the things happening in country, not long ago we had a conversation with the Office of National Security and the Sierra Leone Police to talk about armed robbery. We've had instances in Bo and Kenema where people have been killed. We have the issue with Yenga ongoing. We have APC and SLPP drama with tripartite. With all these and the indicators of a peaceful nation, can we comfortably say Sierra Leone is a peaceful country?
Phoebe, and your question is as impregnated as ever, and the context is so, profound. But to give an insight in answering your question, I'll premise my opener with a quote from Martin Luther King, and I'm sure that's what you are deriving at. He says, "Peace is not passive. It's a powerful force born from justice and compassion. We must raise our voices, confront injustice, and create a world where choosing peace is a daily commitment. That's Martin Luther King. So in local context, are we having this kind of world as envisaged by Martin Luther King? I think your question is impregnated for the fact that you are asking what kind of peace we are having. Is it an active peace or a passive peace? And to answer your question, or to answer that submission, there is a publication on the International Politics and Society Journal that was done last year on the 18th of December on Sierra Leone. They've got some German connection, basically. They're saying, the publication says, threatening a hard-won peace. Over 20 years after Sierra Leone's civil war, polarization, weak governance, and economic challenges threatening the country's post-conflict recovery. So it's clear, to answer your question, that yes, we might be enjoying what is called, in the estimation of some peace experts, arguably passive peace. But the fact remains that there are threats to this peace that are so serious that I will use just one quote in that publication to tell us where we are with our peace as of last year. There is a quote that says on that publication, "The worsening economic situation and lack of faith in the dominant parties continue to propel a search by the working class and youth for a way out of the," this is a big grammar, Fabian, stultifying diarchy of the SLPP and APC. So, to answer your question, do we have peace? Relatively, yes. Is there a threat to the peace? Absolutely so. What are the threats to this peace? The polarization of the politics between APC and SLPP is the biggest threat to the national peace. And we've seen that as evidence in tripartite or agreements of national unity, that independence of state institutions, their weaknesses, as captured by this fine institution, fine research. It's very evident that yes, there are serious threats, and not only threats, early warning signs, such as power we go win third term, such as, well, it will be something else. These are early warning signs, and there are mechanisms for that. But the basic fact remains, one thing that has threatened the peace, among several other things, is the way the APC and SLPP have comported themselves.
From last year to this year, do you think we've made progress, or have we deteriorated in terms of protecting the peace and stability of the country?
I think we fluctuated in the sense that, okay, we managed to reel back from the attempted coup, which was a serious threat to the peace. And if you can broaden that one, it speaks to, if you go to the TRC reports, the role of the military in a civil democratic space, which is a whole question for another day. But again, if you look at not only the attempted coup, but if you look at even the way the trials were conducted, for example, how Ernest Koroma was handled, for example, how some of the arrests were done, for example, how some of the detentions, how some of the, well, killings were also done, and how justice was served or not served, is a real-time threat to the peace. And generally, if you look at also APC recent working out for what I would call as some kind of, well, there are much more bigger national issues, for the removal of the clerk of parliament, and they had to boycott parliament. And owing to the fact that in 2023, they started the governance process with a boycott. So I think there are real threats to the peace. But yes, there are some progress with, releasing of some of the inmates, paying of backlog, the infamous backlog for people who boycotted, whether it's justifiable morally or legally. That's a question for another day. But of course, there are unfinished businesses when it comes to, for example, when will we see a constitutional review? Because we're talking about peace. TRC report clearly states that we must have a rethink on that. Again, there are real-time issues as to, for example, institutions like independence of institutions like ECSL. We cannot talk about peace and if we don't talk about elections rigging and elections denial. They are intertwined but different, but it basically talks about electoral malpractices and the consequences to it. So, yes, these are serious threats, and if they are not addressed, I'm sure we will not make the kind of progress. On the ratings and the indices and the index, of course, most of this data you will always will agree to disagree. It's either coming from either World Bank, Brookings, or I mean, we know them Bretton Woods organizations and they have their agenda and all that. But I think one thing we should celebrate is the fact that we are coming from post-war. And that's a fact we should never ignore as a nation. The issues that caused the war, we managed to surpass or overcome them. I think we are making baby steps. Unless we make those elephants and gigantic steps, there are still threats to the peace. And another serious threat to the peace, I think many people don't seem to see this as a threat to the peace, but it's foreign aggression. The issue of Yenga, it's a threat, because if we cannot keep our sovereignty and territorial integrity, and we're still being rated as peaceful nation, while our people are under what I would call a sort of Ukraine-Russia occupation, we cannot be boasting about these indices, because we have real-time issues that we are grappling with.
I'll take this straight to you, Salia. Melvin has mentioned some strong indicators or concerns about the relative peace we have in the country. As a commission, are these issues under your radar, and what steps or actions are you taking about these things, especially under the arm of prevention?
So, no one will deny the fact that there are incidents happening around that have the potential to threaten the peace. No one will deny that. But as a commission, what we are doing, we have an early warning and response mechanism through our toll-free line, through a situation room where we have a call center where people call in and report incidents, of violence in their communities, incidents of conflict, things that happen that if not looked into may escalate into unrest. So when these pieces of information come in, we filter them and we do referrals accordingly. We are in engagement with ONS, for example. If an incident of unrest is reported that has security implications, we refer to the ONS, who are the technical people, technical institutions, to respond. If it relates to land issues, we refer to the appropriate land institution. If it's about human rights abuse or human rights threats, we refer to the Human Rights Commission. So we are in engagement with the security apparatus. We are in engagement with government. We are in engagement with the institutions that Peace Commission cannot do it alone. I am struggling to bring out things because, like my good friend is saying, we've written ourselves to be peaceful, but these things are still happening. So it's a gradual process. It's not a one-day thing, because as much as we are here discussing development, discussing the need to be peaceful, we do not know what people are doing out there, some of which cannot be corrected, some of which cannot be handled. So it's a clarion call to all of us in our different communities where we are, in our different localities. We feel that the element of allowing incitement to jump into to acts of conflict, we should be able to denounce it at all levels. We should be able to feel proud to work with institutions, to be able to showcase that I am doing this to maintain peace, rather than indulging in activities that will have the potential to break the peace that we are enjoying.
Parker, Melvin did mention, Melvin made a lot of instances, one of which is that of recent statements we've heard from city presidents during their of course, engagement as a party, where he said, of course, the SLPP will go for a third term, and he will be the person that will usher the SLPP into a third term. And we all hear of the resistance that such statements, of course, and from the APC party. But how uneasy and palpable are some of these utterances to the calm Leone hopes to enjoy?
Quick one. If I was a politician and I am in governance, I want to continue to rule. If I'm in opposition and I'm away from manning the affairs of state, I want to come in. So yes, as much as we, for me, if utterances made by people in position have the potential to thwart people's minds, especially the fact that we have a good number of our citizenry that are gullible and tend to fall in for what their leaders say. But to me, it's about the intention. What's the intention behind whatever utterances that are being made? You know, we all, including the government, have fought very hard to keep the country where we are. The same presidents will say we should entreat ourselves, we should entreat one another to guard the peace jealously. So I'm not sure anybody would, again, like I said, it's the intention behind whatever utterances that are being made. As a political party, it's they want to work, they feel they have done well and they want to be able to maintain their grip of power. The opposition might also say, no, I think they are not doing that much, it's our turn to come in. But how you do it peacefully is what we are interested in. How does that intrigue the minds of people? How does that make people react? Is what we are interested in. Again, their convention went out well, even though like at the lower level, there were skirmishes that we condemned. We engaged with them to be able to manage them well. But at the end of it all, we noticed that it was relatively peaceful, and we brought out a release sane. So, and we also encourage the other parties who are yet to go into their lower levels, into their national conventions, to try as best as possible to be peaceful, and to try as best as possible not to make statements that will otherwise incite their followers or make them indulge into acts of violence that will potentially create unrest for the country.
The recommendations in the tripartite have been extremely welcomed by the public, but the implementation of those recommendations remains a challenge. We've heard from the APC in regards to the stiff resistance they've had on several recommendations in that tripartite that are yet to come to fusion. Many do believe same seem to be fanning the flames of fire quietly, if not adequately addressed. Is the Peace Commission concerned with regards to the snail pace of addressing the recommendations in the tripartite? You
don't want to rush into implementing agreements. You don't want to rush into implementing recommendations, and you end up not doing it. For me, it is about either you take your time to do it and do it well, rather than rush to do to implement recommendations and you flip-flop on the way. Like I said, what we do a lot is engagement. We engage with government, we engage with the opposition. For us, it's dialogue. We dialogue with them to see the need to implement recommendations that have been jointly. This whole thing of a national unity agreement, of a tripartite, did not just come from anywhere. Individuals sat. Individuals from the different institutions, ESL, the Peace Commission, government, opposition, our moral guarantors, all of them came together to develop that document. So it should be the responsibility of all of us to monitor the implementation of it. And Peace Commission, on our own part, we are doing our best. We are doing the necessary engagements, with the different apparatus, with the security apparatus, with ONS, with government, in making sure that everybody takes ownership of what is enshrined in those recommendations, or what those recommendations are saying they are supposed to do. So I would say it's a step-by-step process. It's not a one-off process.
The Peace Commission.
Quickly, Fidian, my question stems from, say, recommendation 38, which has a time limit. It has a time frame. So it reads, use decennial census data for elections published 2 years prior. And with the current, by the looks of things, this seems much more unachievable with the postponement of the census that will be held in 2026. Baka, it's worrying.
Say again?
Looking at recommendations 38 of the tripartite recommendation, which reads, use decennial census data for elections published 2 years prior. The census will be held in 2028. And it paints a worrying picture, taking into cognizance the shift, say, in the dates for the census.
I agree. I certainly do agree with you. But like I would say, all we will do is to engage, to remind people, to remind institutions of their responsibilities. It's not our call to, we don't conduct census, we don't manage elections. We will rather engage with the institutions involved to say, hey, we have the delay of XYZ has the potential to spark, to spark unanswered questions. The fact that you keep the populace, away from information, when you starve them of needed information, you are providing space for them to start thinking negative things. So for us, we engage to say, look, be proactive in reaching out to the citizens. Citizens are eager to hear how far you have gone in implementing your mandate. So that's what we'll continue to do. We'll continue to engage with them. We'll continue to make sure that dialogue is being held between the different parties that are involved in the census planning, in this case, or in processes relating to elections.
The Peace Commission is a part of the Tripartite Committee, correct?
Correct.
You do have a representation. We are now in a situation where the SLPP side, Chief Minister is saying they've accomplished about 84% of the recommendations. The APC is saying that's a big lie. It's not up to that.
I would say it's a step by step. It's not, I wouldn't be able to quote percentages of what has been achieved. I would also not say that nothing has been done. So to me, it still boils down to the fact that efforts are being made into addressing these recommendations, and it will not happen in a day. I would understand the position of the opposition that they are eager to see things happen, but the government might say, look, let's be careful how we handle it. Let's be careful how we go around it, because it's not a one-man show. It's a national. It's something that is supposed to benefit the entire country, and I would say yes, it's a step by step. I'm not trying to play advocacy for government, but it's untrue for anybody to say that efforts have not been made or achievements have not been done.
So the APC is not saying efforts have not been made or achievements done. They are saying the 84% that the Chief Minister is communicating is inaccurate.
I wouldn't speak to that. I wouldn't speak to percentages. I would still stand by the fact that something is being done, and somebody is behind. Somebody is out there in making sure that this implementation is being done. And again, it's a collective call. The opposition, not just the APC, all other political parties should come on board. Civil society should come on board. The journalists, the fourth, it's a clarion call to all of us to monitor the implementation, to be abreast with what the recommendations are saying, and in our little ways, provide the advocacy, the much needed advocacy for the implementation.
Melvin, the Tripartite Committee itself was put together as a conflict resolution mechanism for the issues we had post-2023 elections. And some of those recommendations, well, many of them, if implemented, it sort of would de-escalate or dilute the tension for elections, pre-election, election, and post-election. But we now sit in a situation where APC says one thing, SLPP says another, with what Samuel referenced as well, 38, the whole census issue. Now, Peace Commission is saying they're part of it, but there's nothing they can do. Where are we headed if, we still are challenged, especially in the areas of those implementations where it's about benefit to the people. Those areas that benefit the APC and SLPP, they're comfortable with it. But areas like 38, for example, about census, getting the public to enter into an election with accurate and recent data, these issues are about public, and these issues have question marks, and it seems nobody is strong enough, or no institution is strong enough to put pressure on the relevant institutions to do the right things in the interest of the public. Where are we headed?
I think we are, your question is quite complicated. Where are we headed? We are headed for the unknown. Certainly for the fact that there is this term actionability and enforceability. But I've always asked, what's the legal basis to it? If you're having a tripartite agreement that was not tabled in Parliament, now we know why the role of the Peace Commission is quite opaque and almost being undermined. Because it was my expectation that the tripartite secretariat should be a subset of the Peace Commission. But it seems as if they've got some independent autonomy, and that will provoke the question as to what's the, in terms of establishment of offices as prescribed in the Constitution, what constitutional creature is the tripartite secretariat? It's just a gentleman's agreement. Because there's a precedent in Sierra Leone which I think was not followed. When Tijan Kaba, of good memory, wanted to enter into an agreement of peace with the RUF, that Lome Peace Accord was tabled in Parliament, unlike in this case. So when people begin to talk about its enforceability, that is one thing. Because at the end of the day, I have argued a lawyer guy the other day that, oh, it's binding, it's legally binding. I said, you are looking at it from a corporate perspective. We're talking about a social contract perspective. Government signing on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone, and APC signing on behalf of the opposition. What holds that agreement together should SLPP don't fulfill all what is provided for? Or should the APC not provide that? Nothing. That was vague. It was an oversight on all these institutions, on government and opposition. Whether it was deliberate, it's something of another nature. Again, you mentioned the census. Unfortunately, if we have a peace commission that is dormant on what happens now that they've not kept that promise of providing census data way ahead of elections, and now we've seen a postponement, and you have a peace commission, you have a tripartite secretariat, you have a government that is not humble enough to say, okay, this might have been erroneous or in contravention of this, but coming out to explain to the people as to why it's so. It's threatening. So that's why I said we are headed for the unknown. And again, we're talking about so many issues, and if you're having a peace commission, and some of these issues are threatening to the peace. For example, the villaging. You know, there was a symposium or some kind of public engagement on that. And it's clear that the reaction to the proposal is not in favor of government. What's the position of the Peace Commission or the Tripartite Committee in tandem with the recommendations to such? Again, there's a big elephant in the room wherein our noble Peace Commission, as was prescribed by the TRC report, though belated, we're having it now, that they don't have a position on that. Almost redundant in them. For example, what kind of election should we use come 2028? I think this commission should be in a place to proffer independent, critical, professional opinion. They should be technocrats of peace. Unfortunately, based on the creature and the legislation creating them, I was there when they argued the bill that created the Peace Commission as to what should be the role of ministers, as to guarding or safeguarding its independence from political interference. I'm not going to say they are not politically neutral, because by their language you sense that the people, they know what they are doing and what they are saying. Apparently, that is not to say they entirely have a political free hand in managing the affairs of peace. I think moving forward, this commission needs more autonomy, more resources, and more people who are not green or red leaning, but rather Sierra Leone leaning. If we can be able to get there, we can achieve much more. But above all, political independence of the commission, because I think it's my honest opinion that the Peace Commission should be having a position on for almost everything that brings discord in this country.
Yeah, may I just react to the very strong position you have about the Peace Commission. To start with, it's unfair and unsafe to say that the Peace Commission is dormant. It's your opinion.
I said almost.
Well, I'm coming. It's your opinion, and we are not arguing here. Okay, so again, institutions are created and are given mandates of operations. There has to be a line. As much as I agree with you that instances, occurrences which have the potential to spark unrest should be our call to action, and that's what we are doing. We want to believe that if tripartite and the tripartite secretariat has their mandate, it is not our responsibility to interfere into the mandates in terms of operational mandates of the tripartite secretariat.
What's your responsibility as a commission? What are your responsibilities?
We would, in that regard, we would engage with them. If we have questions, if we have issues that are threatening the peace, that may have the potential to create...
Are there no issues currently that you see to be threatening the peace?
There are, and there are.
So what position have you taken as a commission?
We engage with the institutions that are, the relevant institutions. We do press releases stating, denouncing any acts of violence and stating our position and urging citizens and governments and all other apparatus to remain peaceful or to be engaged in peaceful strides in their operations. We bring people on board our activities. We provide, we do trainings, to different different institutions, be it public or private, on peace, managing the peace or preventing conflicts. We engage a lot. We have established peace civil society coalitions at district level to be able to respond to early warnings and reports same to the relevant government authorities. So it cannot come in a day.
Yeah, for the sake of conversation, you're right. We should have been. We are all young people, not all for this with the banter. So I was just looking at your act in terms of what punitive actions are there in the law that established the commission and some of your mandates when it comes to when people violate the peace. I'll give you a case study. You mentioned incitement. One of the most incendiary incitements in recent time is that of Kadiru Kaikai. His party, purportedly took some action against him. But what from a national perspective was done? Nothing. So again, you mentioned. Hold on. Let me land. Okay. You also mentioned about I think you attempted to downplay the skirmishes that occurred during the lower level elections of the SLPP, but they were not minor because it involved burning of houses, it involves causing and wreaking of havoc, and at the end of the day, we have a peace commission who cannot even have a position on the lower level violence.
And who is saying Peace Commission didn't have a position on that?
No, what I'm saying, your clear position as to, it's not about condemning, but what should be done.
This is not, listen, you know the level of engagement that we had with the party structure.
I see you on the news every day.
And at the end of the day, the way they conducted themselves at the national conference is as a result of the behind the scene engagement.
No, that national conference was a sham. Is Kokoro's not a threat to the peace?
That's not my call to make.
No, Kokoro's slaw. Is it not a threat to the peace?
I'm sure. I'm thinking that we.
Gentlemen, we'll just allow you to call on this moment. Melvin, what more do you think could be done, and from what quarters, to sort of maintain the good areas we have in terms of peace going, and to improve in those areas where there are weaknesses?
I think more engagements as they're doing, more dialogue, but there is need for more resources and more free hand. And I think they should also be looking at the policy framework that establishes the commission, because I think they should be having punitive powers to punish people who violate the peace. I mean serious punishment. If we can be able to do so in one or two occasions, people will be scared. We don't need to wait until ICC or those international bodies we used to have special courts come again. These institutions that have been established to uphold the peace, they must be given the powers to ensure that they are not only independent, but they are active in making change to emerging situation. If we're having a situation wherein a Supreme Court judge is being removed, I think it should be a position of the Peace Commission to state its implication on the peace of the country. More so, when the judiciary was mentioned in the TRC report, the independence of the judiciary has been one of the threats to the peace in Sierra Leone, as alluded to in the TRC report. So I think we should have a commission that should be in that position to take a stance. Like we are seeing semblance of that with the National Commission for Democracy. Fabian, have you gone through their recent report on the state of democracy in Sierra Leone? I was surprised. I read some certain position. I said, oh, is this coming from a state institution? I think the Peace Commission should not only be in that position to be reporting or holding the engagement, but again, for people to be able. And one thing I think they also, because the politics is the problem of Sierra Leone. The biggest threat to the peace in Sierra Leone, you like it or not, is the APC, SLPP politics and how they are manipulating the electorate. That's the big threat. So for me, if you're having a situation where in SLPP like APC, they are practicing radical exclusion with provisions in their constitution that ostracize people, that isolate people or exclude people, that can be a threat to the peace, because if APC is not peaceful or SLPP is in a state of Kokoro's syndrome, don't you think that is going to be escalated when it comes to a national politics, when it comes to SLPP versus APC? So these things, they might be minute, they might be complicated, they might be complex, but if we want to address the issues around peace, we should look at them. And above all, corruption is a threat to the peace. Economic, well, critics will say, some people will call it stagflation, others will say inflation. No matter what it's, the state of the economy also can be a threat to the peace, because a man then is gone, angry man not get choice. And those peace theory and those peace experts, they will tell you that there is what is called frustration by what? Aggression. When man not get, na salon, even if you are not say salon people and this gone to, but who for the person this gone to low? Ask, but even if you are not say person this gone, somehow you ask yourself, how you do? It is change by you for that. It is say, he that provoke you and can provoke me. So the peace we are enjoying is what I would call SO2 Yebe peace. On top coal, but the under wham. Be it from economic issue, political issue, judicial issue, parliamentary issue, media issue. Mrs. Every day also, I'm not peaceful with myself. Just that because I pray to God. Because imagine I was banned since January 10th to now. Do you think I should be peaceful? Do you think my kids are going to be peaceful? Do you think my wife will be peaceful? Do you think my relatives are going to be peaceful? Those minute issues we tend to ignore are the threats to the peace.
Okay, so I certainly do understand your expectations, your very ambitious expectations of the commission. Yeah. I do understand. Oh. But what is clear is that as an institution, we have a mandate, a clear mandate that we operate by. We do not, it is not our call to do punishments. We don't punish people. We engage with the authorities that are charged with such responsibilities. Where maybe tomorrow or maybe next year or other years they will see the need to give punitive powers to the commission. But as it is for now, we only provide the advocacy, we provide the advisory as required.
Don't you think you need
so I do understand.
Don't you think you need the punitive powers?
Well, you can be part of the advocacy.
No, you are the expert.
And we can keep that for another day. But I think what I will say to you and many who go with your perspective is to come on board. Okay. No one is excluded. No one should be seeing the Peace Commission as the sole institution to push. I understand that the way you feel. I understand how people may perceive us. But I would say, and I would have to clearly say this to the citizenry, that we do not have political interference in our job. I would agree with you that resources, like everywhere, resources are a challenge in the kinds of, if we have to really have outreach, then we should be able to be really resourced. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to, our act mandates us to seek to outsource where government is not able to provide everything. So we are doing it, but it's a gradual process. But I will say again, it's a call to all of us to engage the process and hold leaders accountable for responsibilities that they are either failing to do or for overdoing on their responsibilities.
Sally
Thank you.
Akpaka, it's a pleasure having you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Melvin, also, it's a pleasure, brother.
It's always good.
Happy birthday again. Enjoy your day.
I'm loving this. You're spoiling me.
Someone says he likes your regalia.
Oh, yes, it gets to impress. We are journalists.
Well, we've come to the end of today's edition of the program. Would like to say thanks to our guests for being a part of the program.